on, good people? What's going on? This is a late episode, early in the week on a Monday night. I know it's crazy. Just a fan podcast where you got us guys that are just fans but know a lot about football. I'm your guy, Tristan. As you see, this is my boy. Make sure I got my viewings right. This is my boy over here, Brandon.
Brandon for
Um,
episode 4.
there you go. There you go. We got we're without Steve today. Steve is handling family business, as we all are family people. So sometimes these things come up. I'm sure he's going to be tuning in, checking in, seeing about us, and seeing what's going on. We'll definitely make sure that we get all three of us on here next week. I know last week it was just them two. This week it's just me and Brandon. Brandon's the most consistent one right now.
Hey
So
man, look man, you never know. Next week it might be just you two.
for sure, for sure. So things happen, schedules are mixed up, but as the old saying goes, the show must go on. So Brandon, we're gonna kick it off, man. We're gonna talk about these games. We ain't gonna parlay too long. We're gonna talk about these games from this past Sunday. There's definitely a lot that was going on in the NFL.
Definitely.
Man, I mean, I'm trying to even think of just where to start. Like, it was just a lot of craziness. I guess we probably got to start with what's been the most maddening of yesterday. I think that it's the one game where everybody was kind of shook on, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs Tennessee Titans game. Man, 27-3 was the final score, but it might as well have been 50 something to 3 or 50 something to 0. You're talking about, I mean, so we all know about the woes of the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Like we're fully aware, they can't stop a nosebleed. We're fully aware of all that. What is more concerning is the mistakes that are happening with Patrick Mahomes. Now, here's my thing. I said this. If you recall, I said it on this show. I think I said it in our first show. I said we gotta watch with Patrick Mahomes because the mistakes are starting to add up. He can't get away with things that he used to get away with. And everybody's looking at me like as if I called him a bum. I'm not saying he's a bum, but I'm saying when I watch Justin Herbert and I'm watching Patrick Mahomes, the thing about Justin Herbert is that he doesn't make those mistakes. There's a lot of things that we love with Patrick Mahomes and what he brings to the table, but some of that stuff is going to get to him when he's playing a bunch of hero ball, and that's the issue that's going on right now. Is that he is playing hero ball, and he has to play. He feels like he has to play hero ball because of the lack of defense that the Kansas City Chiefs are facing. But it's costing him. I think he alone has what, 9 turnovers this season?
9 interceptions this season over the
And then he had
last,
two fumbles. He had two fumbles on Sunday.
and also in the last like 18 or 19 games, he has an interception in almost all the games.
So I mean,
Um, the offense is just not the same. It's him, Kelsey, and Hill, but people are doubling Hill down the field, so that's taking that first or second read easily, which leaves you with Kelsey. And I mean, you can throw the ball to Harmon, but Harmon's fumbling the football, so that's somebody else turn over the ball. They need a legitimate WR2 receiver, so Harmon can go back in the slot. I know they brought in Josh Gordon, but Josh Gordon is not in football shape. The man hasn't played football in quite a few years. So um, Herbert, I think Herbert is more of a connected dots quarterback. Now he can make those throws similar to Mahomes, but he doesn't have to do it as often. Um, Andy Reid Eric Bieniemy and the quarterbacks coach, whoever that is, they gonna all have to work with this turnover that's going on with Kansas City's offense because it's horrendous. And I don't know if they can salvage it this season, but this offseason they got a lot of work to do. And they're not a team that seems to draft well, and that could hurt them in the long run.
so do you think with the Chiefs, do you think they kind of um do you think they kind of in a sense I guess wrestled on their laurels, I guess, because remember, like, they had the reputation of, because of the offense, of how firepower it was and all that stuff. Like I feel like they just had this kind of arrogance, like, oh, we can come back, we can make this into something, and they're realizing like, oh no, this is bigger than what we thought it would be. So do especially that playoff game, I think it was against the Houston Texans a couple years back,
Right.
where they were down so bad, in the second half they just turned it up, and I think they just feel like they can always do that. And let me and you can go ahead and answer this question. Shout outs to Maurice watching the show. He just asked, "Do you think if the defense improves, will Patrick Mahomes play better?" So go ahead. You can answer that one, Brandon. What do you think about that question?
Well, I mean, it's a good question, but that defense is not going to improve this season. And so, again, it goes back to me saying this offseason, they're going to have to find ways to start drafting well on both sides of the ball. And it's hard because, like I said, one, they don't draft well, but two, you pretty much behind the eight ball because you're going to be, because that team is going to be pressing, trying to figure out who to draft and what round and stuff. So, um, this could be, I'm not gonna say like a big downfall for Kansas City, but Kansas City could be a team in the next few years that could just be sitting as a number competing for this number 6 or 7 seed in the AFC. Let me put it that way.
I can definitely see that. Really because everybody's kind of caught up, and I think that's the thing. Like, and I think that was more so like, I know I was like championing, Justin Herbert, and I still kind of am. But I think I was more so in the sense also saying like, look at what's taking place. You know what I'm saying? Look what's happening. Not only in the AFC as a conference, but just in their division alone. Like,
Yes,
look
definitely.
how the Raiders have looked, since John Gruden has left.
Yes,
Look at. I mean, I know the Broncos have had some recent struggles, but it's Teddy Bridgewater. He's more so playing hurt and things like that. So I'm sure that's going to get better. I'm sure that'll work itself out. And the defense will get back at par. I know that Von Miller got hurt. So we'll see how it goes for the Broncos. But they've been decent. Then you're looking at the Chargers. So in the division alone, you're looking at Kansas City that could possibly, like, you would almost put the Raiders and the Chargers. Excuse me. You would almost put them um,
Kansas
over
City
the
easily.
Chiefs. And so when I'm looking at that now and I'm seeing that, I'm concerned because I feel like Patrick Mahomes feels like he has to do everything because his reputation is he's kind of like the magic man. Like, he kind of does it. He's got all the tools and everything, but he's forcing it. You can see he's pressing. You can see he's forcing it, and that's a recipe for disaster. And Andy Reid and that crew's going to have to figure it out. Spags is definitely going to have to figure it out with that defense. I
Yes,
mean,
definitely.
it makes no sense to have a Tyrann Matthew in your back end, and then you got Chris
Frank Clark.
Jones, Frank Clark, these guys. I mean, you can't have that kind of personnel on your defense side of the ball and be struggling the way you're struggling.
Well,
Um,
but you know though, these coordinators get paid millions of dollars just to figure out Kansas City. Now, did it take longer than one off season? Sure, but eventually they will catch up to you. And I
yeah,
believe that's what really has happened on both
I,
sides of the ball for Kansas City.
I believe that Kansas City definitely needs to be more balanced for sure. They need to really shore up the running. Like when they won the Super Bowl, the running game was on par that whole season.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know we like the splash and the flash of Kelsey and Tyreek Hill and all that, but it was the run game that was creating that balance for them that made them so impossible to figure out. And they've kind of gone away from that. Tyreek Hill is who he is. As great as a wide receiver he is, he has his limitations. You know, he's not big. He doesn't run the entire route tree. Sometimes I just feel like they're just all kind of running around and just hoping that Patrick Mahomes finds them and keeps them moving. So, um, Maurice just asked, do we feel that if they're a one trick pony? I wouldn't say they're a one trick pony, but they're
but they
probably
are.
like they're like two or three tricks, like, and that's
Yeah,
it. Like,
yeah, pretty much just all speed. Well, they are definitely a well. One of the tricks is all speed because it's Hill is a fast receiver, hard to defend down the field.
for sure.
Kelsey is a fast tight end. You can't put a safety on him because they're too small. Linebackers are way too slow. So, but they limited. They limited to those two guys, and like I said, the run game is not there. I don't know why they're not giving the ball to Clyde Edwards, who they picked in the first round. They need to be using him.
And he was supposed to be. I told you he was supposed to be like Brian Westbrook. That was supposed to be Brian Westbrook Jr. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. But I'm sure Andy Reid's always been an offensive guru. I'm sure he'll figure that out. But it is looking like the NFL has caught up with Kansas City and how they operate and how they go about things. Let's
Definitely.
let's move on to another AFC battle that was a bit of a shocker. It wasn't as much a shocker as the Kansas City Tennessee Titans game, but a bit of a shocker nonetheless. The Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals, 41-17, a shellacking by the Bengals. Jamar Chase, we thought he didn't have hands. Hey,
During the
um,
preseason, he didn't.
hey, this is why they tell you there's a difference between preseason and regular season. Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase looking like the Tigers that they are, the LSU Tigers that they are. Joe Burrow was 23 of 38 for 416 yards, three touchdowns, one interception. Jamar Chase, eight receptions, 201 yards and one touchdown. Was averaging 25.2 yards a catch. So basically, Joe Burrow was slinging it out there, and Jamar Chase was coming down with it. Even gave like a little spin move, vintage Lamar Jackson spoon move on the Ravens defense. I saw that Humphreys got on Twitter after later on that evening yesterday, and took accountability that he knew he got torched, he knew he got cooked, and said he was going back into the lab. I've always said this with Humphreys is he's a fantastic physical specimen. The problem is the technique is still shabby, and the
Mm.
reason why is because he's such a physical specimen. His talent covers a lot of the lack of technique. But now you're dealing with a Jamar Chase who is just as big, just as fast, but also is a technician with the route tree. So those things peg to be a little more difficult. So with that, give me your take. How you feel about the Bengals? How you both feel about the Ravens? Action Jackson, he
Okay,
looked a little human. So
so let me talk about Cincinnati's offense. Actually, let me talk about Cincinnati. Period, and well, offense especially. The head coach, and let me speak about Baltimore's defense, especially Humphrey. One with Humphrey, it's interesting that you bring up his lack of technique. Eventually, as a corner, you have well, just as a football player, you need to have good technique, regardless of your position. It helps you last long in the NFL. So if Humphrey's technique is not good as a corner, he's only going to last for so long because eventually Father Time catches up to you, and Humphrey's going to decline sooner rather than later. Um,
hmm
Ravens defense did a terrible job of tackling. So starting Wednesday, and they really should start tomorrow, or really probably should have started today. They're gonna have to go through those tackling drills because they couldn't tackle Chase, they couldn't tackle the running backs of Mixon and P. Ryan. They look bad.
yep,
Cincinnati's offense, young. Joe Burrow's in the second year. Chase is a rookie. Higgins and Boyd are like in their second and third years. With head coach Zach Taylor as a third year coach, I was not expecting this at all from Cincinnati. And right now, they're saying that if the regular season was to end today, they will be first, not just in the division, but in the entire AFC, which means they have a first round bye. Who
yeah,
would have thought
the
Cincinnati
Bengals.
will have a first round seed in the entire AFC when you look at the entire conference? That's mind boggling.
Yeah, I mean, it's I agree. Um, and it makes the when you look at them now and what they've done, and you think about the conversation of um, you think about when Marvin Lewis got uh, released as head coach when he got fired,
Right.
and you're just looking, and you remember what it looked like with Zach Taylor as the head coach the first season. It was just like, ooh, this is gonna be rough.
Exactly.
But listen, Joe Burrow, we said it. We talked about it. Not necessarily with the show because of course the show is new, but we've conversed about it in our group chats. Joe Burrow has one of the best football instincts we've seen from a young QB in a while. Like
Definitely.
instincts, you know what I'm saying? It's just like he understands the flow of the game. He knows
Yes.
what to do, when to do it, when it's called upon. He sometimes he plays with reckless abandonment, and he'll learn as he grows to kind of reel that in just to protect himself. But he he has the feel. It's hard to explain, but he has a feel for the game, and the Bengals are smart when they realized what they got with him. Even though they didn't draft like offensive line heavy, but they went in a free agency and looked around for it. You got him his buddy, in Jamar Chase. You got him his buddy. You still got Higgins. You got Boyd. Um, you got Uzoma. How you say his name? Uzoma.
I don't even know who you're talking about. That must be I don't know,
It's the
tight
ti-
end or
it's the
close.
ti- the ti- it's the tight end they got CJ Uzoma. He's
Okay.
he's he's been balling this season. He's like another up and rising tight end, all part of that tight end university as they call it. It's amazing to watch these guys, man, and offensively. And that's the thing. We talk about the offense all the time and so many weapons that the Bengals have. They have a good defense too.
Yeah,
Like,
the defense really has stepped up a lot this year.
man, I mean, the defense is nice. I mean, you got Bates back there, who's like one of the better safeties
Young
in
safeties.
football.
Hubbard.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at, and it's only going to get better. I'm happy for Hendrickson. I don't know if people remember Hendrickson came from the Saints
Oh
and
yes,
became a
yes.
free agent, signed that big contract. He's doing wonders for them over there. So they got a squad overall. But you're thinking it's like it's the Bengals. Like in your mind, you're like it's the Bengals, but
But
they
guess
got a
what?
squad, man.
And
They
the
got a
thing is,
team.
they went to Baltimore. Yes, they beat them. They went to Pittsburgh early this season and beat them. Um, and you're right about the whole draft. Because I was like, okay, they probably need to draft Panay Sewell from Oregon, and they
We
didn't
all
take
said that.
him.
We all said that.
They didn't take him. They went.
Yeah,
They went. I mean, they look. They look smart on that move
yeah. I
so
mean, that's
far.
why. I mean, listen. That's why they get paid the big bucks, man. That's why they get
Hey,
paid the big bucks, and we don't.
hey, and guess what? And guess what? And guess what? See, with this young offense and the young defense, I feel like, hey, this is a team that knows how to draft now. Because at one time they were saying that Cincinnati had one of the smallest scouting staffs in the NFL, and with that small scouting staff, they drafted well these last 3 years, and like I said, they have a young up and coming team. It's something worth to keep an eye on.
For sure. I mean, I'm excited to see how the rest of the season is going to lay out. Like I said, I mean, and for the Ravens, let's touch on them really quickly. I would just like you said, I do believe the Ravens need to be on tackling drills all week. I mean, it's just no
Definitely,
excuse. It's no excuse to have the kind of tackling day that they or lack thereof. Of all the teams, the Ravens should never ever be that team that's bad at tackling.
exactly,
Their whole reputation is being of having a fantastic defensive play. So that was definitely I'm a with Harbaugh, Lamar, and them boys. I'm gonna chalk that up as a mulligan. I'll chalk that up
yes,
as a mulligan.
yes, yes,
Um, it's definitely not something we're gonna see. It's not a trend that's happening with them or anything like that. We'll just chalk that up as a mulligan. But I do believe the Bengals will put the entire league on notice with that victory yesterday. So shout out to the Bengals. We're gonna switch sides a little bit. There was another game I wanted to touch on. I gotta talk about it. I know we all kind of expected the outcome of this game, but I want to touch on it, and it is the Buccaneers and the Bears game. Buccaneers win 38-3. Tom Brady, 4 touchdown passes for Tom Brady yesterday. 20 of 36. He is the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 600 touchdown passes. Let me say that again. He is the first and only quarterback to throw 600 tutties, as they call it. 600 tutties.
Do you think that's
My
going to
man,
ever happen again?
you said what?
Do you think that's ever going to happen again?
No,
I
no,
don't think so either. I don't think so either.
no. I don't care what other quarterbacks do because you would have to play the longevity of Tom Brady, and I don't think anybody's going to do what he's doing
No, no,
because
not at
he's
least not right now.
isn't it crazy that Tom Brady looks younger than some of these guys that he's like twice as old as. Like he played with a lot of these cats' daddies. He
Yes,
played with a lot of their fathers.
yes,
Like
yes. Because Patrick Surtain, a rookie in Denver, his dad was with the Dolphins. I think they might have played against each other. Winfield, who plays for who's his teammate with the Bucks. His dad played in Minnesota and Buffalo, and I know in Buffalo they played against each other. Brady was drafted when I was still in high school.
right,
I wasn't even a senior in high school. Let's put it that way too.
yeah.
Okay.
I was in middle school.
Oh,
I was
right.
a
Is that
kid, a
right? So,
preteen. You know,
um, but
it's it's amazing.
look, Tampa Bay right now pretty much just need to coast through the season. Not saying squander any games, but just coast through the season and just have their mindset on the playoffs because they obviously won in that division. The only question now is what seed are they going to get first, second, third, and um, Tampa Bay will see you in the playoffs definitely.
For sure. And here's the thing that's scary. I think people are not realizing. They're only going to get better. This is
Yes,
still a very hurt team. Their guys are getting healthy. So you're talking about, like, as we're going to go later into the season, going into the playoffs, this is going to be a healthy team with some fresh legs coming back, going into the playoffs to make a
Brown.
run.
And I don't think Brown has played that much this year, has
He
he?
has not. He has not. He
See,
missed a couple of games because he was hurt. So I mean, when you think about that, Gronk is healing. He'll be back and ready to go. A lot of that secondary that's been hurt, a lot of those
yeah,
corners,
the
they're going to be
corners.
ready. They're going to be coming back. And honestly, the only juggernaut that we saw that was going to contend with the Bucks was the Chiefs. And you see where that is. Do you think is there a team in the NFC that would make you nervous if you were a Buccaneers fan?
The Cardinals. My only problem with them is
They
I'm
make you
not a big fan of
nervous?
this. I'm not a big fan of their secondary yet. I like their
Okay.
offense. I like the offense to keep up. And actually, that's something I did want to touch on because I was going to say in the NFC, and we might, and I don't know if you want to talk about the Green Bay game later. Green Bay, my problem with them is the offensive line that was exposed yesterday. Arizona has the offense to keep up. They have a good front seven, but I don't like the secondary. The only team that I can see give Tampa Bay problems is Dallas. And I know people want to say, well, he's a Cowboys fan, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, I get it. But just go back and watch game one. And Dallas did not have all their players either. So Dallas has the best secondary to compete with Tampa Bay's receiver and tight end core. Let me put it that way. So if anybody in the NFC can compete with Tampa Bay, it would be Dallas. That to me, I know Arizona's the only undefeated team, but I have Tampa Bay one. Actually, Tampa Bay Dallas 1-1-8, and then Arizona at 3.
So so here's the thing. I was like, let me see what Brandon gonna say because I honestly said the same thing. I was like, let me see if Brandon gonna be a fan or is he going to tell us the actual reason? But I had the same thought. I was like, the Dallas Cowboys right now to me are the only team that if I was a Bucks fan, they'd be the one I kind of raise my eyebrow at. Um, and the only reason is because Dan Quinn is familiar with Brady.
Definitely.
He's familiar with the Buccaneers team, being the former head coach of the Falcons. So Trayvon Diggs is playing out of his mind.
Yes, he is.
Um, and you guys have the kind of offense that can either go step for step or can slow it down with Zeke and have time of possession. So I agree with that. I think right now, right now, if I was to call it, I would say Tampa and Dallas would be meeting up to determine who's going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I,
Exactly.
I would definitely right now. For right now, things can change. Let's see what Arizona does. Let's see what the Rams do. But right now, that's how I see it. I see Dallas and Bucks competing for a chance at the Lombardi, for sure.
Definitely.
Well, a chance to get to the championship to play for the Lombardi.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that's for certain. But Tom Brady, man, he's on a record-setting pace. Right now, we're only going into what, week 8.
Yes.
So he already has 21 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Um, he's thrown for 2,275 yards. I think he's on pace to get to at least 50 touchdowns. And I can't believe I'm about to utter these words. It is a possibility. Let me. For this 17 game season, it is a strong possibility of Tom Brady to throw for 6,000 yards. He
44
has a
years old
chance.
and doing that kind of damage.
He has a chance to flirt around and throw for 6,000 yards at the
And
pace.
but you know what also makes this Bucks offense scary is the fact that Leonard Fournette has bounced back since he's been in Tampa
For
Bay.
he is what Jacksonville wanted him to be completely, as
Yes. But
for
see,
sure.
Jacksonville never had the offense that Tampa Bay has now because
Yes.
everything was just on his shoulders. And I mean, Leonard Fournette had like 12 guys in the box. Okay, he had all 11 players and the fans and the stands were all in the box. So there was just no way he was going to accomplish anything in Jacksonville. But in Tampa Bay, with that offense so wide open, he can just flourish.
So right now it's saying like, so I'm looking at the projection for Tom because it's kind of insane. The only thing that will probably keep him from the yardage is the fact that he may not throw. Sometimes he'll throw for big yards. Sometimes he'll throw for like merely 200 yards. You remember there was a time when a quarterback threw for like 200-300 yards. That was like an awesome game.
Exactly.
It seemed pedestrian now. Like, oh, he threw for 250. Wow.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at these numbers, and so like the projected number right now, if he's at this current pace based on this last game, based on the last 5 games, is 5,468 yards and 48 touchdowns. I do believe he's going to throw for more than 50, though. I feel like he's due for another game to kind of explode with this offense. So it's going to be
Definitely, because
interesting.
because because no one has the coverage to compete with Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, well, healthy Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Evans, healthy Gronk, Howard, and Brady. I mean, that's impossible.
Exactly. Exactly. So let me touch. Let's move forward. I don't think we need to talk about the Bears situation. I mean, clearly, you see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. No, 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 no.
You see it. You see it. I wanted to touch this game, and then we'll talk about Packers and Washington game, unfortunately. But I did wanted to touch on this game for sure. The Giants shellacked the Panthers. Woo! Woo! What a difference 1 month makes. The
Without their
Giants,
weapons.
the Giants beat the Panthers 25-3. Daniel Jones, 23 of 33 for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, and a Odell Beckham vintage catch. Sam Darnold, 16 to 25 for 111 yards and 1 interception, and got benched for the XFL favorite P.J. Walker. Brandon, what do you got to say about this game, man?
I,
I thought we
I'm
thought the Panthers were on to something, man. We thought the
I,
Panthers.
I'm actually surprised because the Giants are missing quite a few weapons on offense. I mean, they're missing 3 or 4 wide receivers. They have 2 good tight ends, and one of them is I think Ingram was the one who didn't play. Um, I don't know if Barkley's even back yet. So this was on Daniel Jones, but Carolina's defense that was ranked number 1 when they played Dallas, they can't be ranked number 1 anymore. They've lost 4 games in a row. Since McCaffrey's gone down, Sam Donald has not been the same, and that has to be a huge concern because this team seems like it's McCaffrey or bust.
So we know that McCaffrey is down for a number of games again, possibly indefinitely, which would be so unfortunate for one of my fantasy teams. Um, don't get me started. I,
That's why I
I
don't do fantasy football.
listen. I got 2 fantasy teams. I have 2 fantasy teams. One had Saquon. One had Christian McCaffrey. Ask me how I'm feeling. Um,
Okay, I make sure I send you some Kleenex, man.
hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, big dog. So we got looking at the Panthers currently being 3-4 right now, and kind of on this skid, trying to find their way. If it looks bleak for the Panthers throughout the rest of the season, do you see them trying to make a push for a quarterback in free agency or drafting a QB to uh, supplant Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold's supposed to be the guy. Matt Rule already said after the game that he put PJ in to try to get a spark. He said that Sam Darnold is going to be the starter moving forward.
This offseason, who are you going to draft? Because the quarterback draft class is not that good. And if Deshaun Watson's traded sometime this week because the trade deadline is next Tuesday,
For Miami,
yeah, I mean that's out the door. Um, Tua may be available, but he may end up in Washington. We don't know. So that leaves you with Aaron Rodgers. But if I'm Aaron Rodgers, do you want to go to Carolina? If it was who was I talking to? Was it Steve in the last show that he said maybe Pittsburgh will make way more sense for Aaron Rodgers, and I agree.
it
After
would. I agree.
when I
Yeah,
thought about that after that show, so what does that leave you with now? Russell Wilson. But if you Seattle, do you trade Russell Wilson within your conference? So
yeah.
the quarterback situation, there's a lot. I said in the last show, and when it was me and Steve, there's going to be a lot of teams, more than half teams in the league, looking for a quarterback again this offseason. And I think teams going to have to really start changing the way they approach their offseason game plans because these quarterbacks are far and few, and it's not going to be easy trying to get one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, like I said, Matt Rule kind of hitched his wagon with Sam Darnold. He had a chance. They had a chance to make some moves to really push for the Deshaun Watson trade during the offseason.
They backed out as soon as that those legal issues hit.
For sure. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, Sam Darnold could have probably just had a bad game. It happens. Some people just wake up on the wrong side of the bed. And that could have been the case because he hasn't been bad this season.
No,
So maybe that could be it. So we'll see what that is and what that looks like. But he is going to be the starter, so we're going to see this week. But it just, man, to have to lose that way and to lose it to the Giants, man. And I don't even know what to make of Daniel Jones, man. I don't know what he is. I don't
Mhm.
know.
He's
Some
an
days,
elevator quarterback.
man, I mean, some days he's like, man, he could be a Pro Bowler, and then some days he looked like he should have traded in his shirt and been a bowler. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of him. And honestly, that kind of solidifies the how I feel about the Giants overall as an organization. You just don't know what to make of them. Like you
No,
see
no.
flashes, and you're like, yeah, okay, they might be on to something, and then it's like, what happened? But they are a young team too. I think we have to. I think the Giants been so bad for so long. We have to remember that this is not the same old Giants. This is a new flock of kids, and I really mean that when I say kids. A lot of these guys are like in their early 20s playing, so maybe time will tell. Time will tell with the good old judge over there. So we'll see what happens. Um, God, I guess we got to talk about this. Let's go ahead and talk about the Packers and the Washington football team. Packers win 24-10. Typical day in the office for good old A-Rod. 27 of 35, 274 yards, 3 tutties. Taylor Heineke, as they say, Heineke had 25-37. That's another thing that kills me. It's never bad. It just he's a Tony Romo. God, that's what he is. He's a Tony Romo. He just makes really bad decisions at the worst moment. 25 of 37 for 268, one touchdown, one interception. The interception that was an ugly interception. This was definitely a tale of turnovers, and missed opportunities. If you watch the game the way I watched the game, I watched it to its fullness. Um, Washington had an opportunity to either make the game interesting or cause an upset. You get into the red zone 4 times. 2 of those times you were within the 5 yard line. You gotta get in. You gotta score. It's Aaron Rodgers. You gotta score touchdowns. It's never enough for field goals and none of that. Um, a couple things. One, that was probably one of the better defensive performances that Washington has played all year.
I
Uh,
agree with you.
People have to realize that you look at the score. Honestly, the score really wouldn't have been this if it wasn't for the mistakes that the offense made that put Aaron Rodgers in favorable um, position. Landon Collin played more in the box, and look at that. He was the leading tackler of the team. Who knew?
Mm.
He had seven tackles, one tackle for loss. Jamin Davis showed some flashes, but he also showed his youth and some mistakes that he made. He had 5 tackles. Cam Curl, he was doing his thing. He looked good. Um, the defensive line was giving pressure. Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen each had quarterback hits, 3 quarterback hits. We're still waiting for that breakout game from Chase Young. Not sure what's going on with that at this point in the season. I feel like there should be more coming out of him for sure, being the number 2 pick, and because of the performance he had last season for his defensive rookie of the year. Um, but yeah, turnovers, man, fumbles. The one interception that was in the end zone. That was crucial. Drop passes. Um, yeah, it was a game that the Washington football team gave away. When you watch the game, it was a game that they really gave away. I think if they played halfway decent, they might have inked out that game. Because Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae weren't really turning it up until midway third quarter, until the end of the game. So um, we need a quarterback. Washington needs a quarterback, man.
Mm.
That's really what it is. I think Heineke, people are like, well, bench him or whatever. I mean, bench him for who? Let Heineke play the season. Heineke's proven that he does belong in the league. He's proven that he's an adequate backup quarterback to have a long career in the league. He's just not a franchise quarterback, which I don't think anybody, no one should have expected that,
No, of course
from
not.
him.
Of course not. And
Um,
Fitzpatrick needs to retire after the season.
for sure, I think so. I think Fitzpatrick. I feel bad for him, but I feel like his body is just not allowing it anymore. So we need a quarterback. I've said this before when Washington plays bad like this. When I see Washington play this way, play badly like that, I have no problem with Washington being bad for the rest of the year if it puts us in the top five. That is the issue that I have when it comes to Washington. We never are bad enough to get a top five pick. We always got to trade up to get there. But we're never good enough to be a perennial playoff team. That frustrates me. So we're always picking in the teens. We're like pick 15, pick 13, pick 16. We're never bad enough where we could be like, and the third overall pick. Like, look, we ended up getting Chase Young when we were bad enough to get the number two pick. We were able to get
Mhm.
Jonathan Allen. We were able to get Deron Payne. When we're terrible, just be terrible. Just you might as well. So
Let me ask you some questions, then.
go
But
ahead.
before I ask you the questions, let me just jump on Green Bay real quick. I
Okay.
don't think Green Bay's going to really do a whole lot in the playoffs because I don't like the offensive line and the following defensive fronts they don't want to see is are Tampa Bay, Arizona, and Dallas. Okay,
Bakhtiari is coming back now.
they don't want to see those three defensive lines.
Okay. Okay.
Let me ask you. Um, would you rather have? Well, I mean, of course, Haskins is gone, but would you rather have Haskins and Chase Young, or Sam Donald and Brian Burns?
The combination,
Yes.
I'd rather have Sam Darnold than Brian Burns
Mm.
because you need
That
the
that, that, that
quarterback.
could have happened one time. Those two things could have happened. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
you need quarterback play, man, and it's just when I saw that throw in the end zone, it just more confirmed me of my feelings for Heineke and why he cannot be the guy as much. I like Heineke. I
I know.
like Taylor Heineke. He's gutty. He's got moxie. I like him. He's not a franchise quarterback. There's a reason why he's always been a backup. So yeah, we need a quarterback, and like you said, this is not even a strong class. I mean,
Nope.
you got the guy that was supposed to be projected to be the number one pick, and Spencer Rattler getting benched for a freshman over there in Oklahoma. All these other quarterbacks that are being talked about in college, they're not. There's no one
Worthy of
bona
top
fide.
10. Now see, that's another question I have for you. You all may not be good enough to be in the top five or even top 10. These quarterbacks may not be worthy of being drafted in the top 10.
I don't think
If
they're
you,
worth being drafted in the first round.
oh, well, okay. Well, you already answered my question before I can even ask you then.
I mean,
Okay.
I pay attention to college football, man. I
Yes,
ain't
you do.
seen one that like. I, I ain't
Not,
seen
not
one.
even a quarterback from Liberty.
There, listen. You know what I want. You know what I see when I. I'm gonna give you a name. I'm gonna give you a name, and you probably gonna fall out your seat. You know what I see when I watch him play football.
Uh-oh.
You know what I see?
What?
Spurgeon Wing. That's who I see. That's who I see when I watch him
I,
play.
I, I, I heard the name. Forgot about the name. I forgot
That's
how.
my fear.
Mm.
That's my fear when I watch him play because he has all the hype right now. Him between him and the kid from Ole Miss. Oh man, let me get his name. I don't want to be on a podcast and not be able to name these cats. The quarterback from Ole Miss.
Let me see if I can get his name.
It was a name Matt Corral.
Okay.
Matt Corral. He's another one that is being talked about very highly. The The kid from North Carolina,
Oh yes, he is being talked about.
he's being talked about, but they're none of them give me like, yeah, he's the guy. Where I'm and what I mean is like if they're going to reach for a QB to draft him in the first round, none of these cats to me fit that billing. They're all like guys that I could probably see as maybe a late first round pick. Yeah, Sam Howell, that's North Carolina's quarterback.
Okay, okay.
Late first round pick, maybe second round pick. That's what I
Mm,
see.
mm.
That's what I see. And the dude from listen, I understand the dude can play. I watched some of the games. He's got good size, strong arm, athletic. Um, but Spurgeon win. If you think about Spurgeon win. Think about Spurgeon when the who's he drafted by? The the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns. That's what it was. And look what happened. That's what scares me. So now I got to think. Okay, so what do I want? Who do I want to draft? Who
Well,
do I feel comfortable with?
you know what? Let me say this. In the first round, you're gonna have to go. You can't draft a quarterback
I don't think so.
because you like I said, they're not worth drafting in the first round unless it's like it's in the pick between 30 and 32.
Yeah,
Is it, okay, so now I have two more questions for you. One, is there a position of need to draft in round one for you all? And if so,
linebacker.
I should have I should have known. I should have known.
Listen, man.
Okay, now, but you're not going to draft another linebacker in the first round because you just did that. So, and I know how you feel about Jamin Davis right now from Kentucky. So,
So maybe a corner.
okay,
Maybe a corner.
okay,
I can go with that. Maybe a
okay,
corner.
all
Yeah.
right. Second question. Right now, I like Jonathan Allen more than any of your other defensive linemen, and that's me being on the outside looking in. Okay, and to me, he's worthy of that contract extension.
Hmm.
What is the future of your defensive line looking like? Because Young is picked two overall. You still have Deron Payne, but I know he's eligible for a contract extension, and Sweat is eligible for a contract extension after this season. And I think Ionata's contract is up after the season. What does the future of Washington's defensive line look like? Oh,
Somebody, somebody is going to have to walk that I don't want to walk. I'm you, and we talked about this over the summer. I told you that we're going to lose one of them, at least one.
you might lose
Um,
two.
might be two, but for sure one.
Yes.
Um, man, honestly, I would hate to see it, but very well Matt Ioannidis could be the odd man out just because of the draft capital of everybody else. Matt Ioannidis. After that, hate to say it. After that, if we were to lose one other one, it'd be Deron Payne because they're not going to let Montez Sweat go. Montez Sweat is he's been the most productive as far as on the edge. He's
So
been the most productive.
that's two
He's
interior defensive linemen.
hey man, I'm telling you, look, I don't know because I don't know where the money going to come from. You could probably get Matt Ioannidis back for a little cheap, but not but so much though. So
Yeah, but because you still have to because on offense you're going to have to pay Terry McLaurin. Yeah, you guys haven't paid Terry yet, have you?
he's the
And
one.
he's
He's the
been
next one up for like this next offseason. He's probably the one that we got to lock up.
this offseason is coming up now. I
Hmm.
figured that.
Hmm.
And then you all Gibson is in the second year, right?
Yeah, I mean, running backs. You ain't
Yeah,
got to
well,
rush.
yeah, okay, okay.
You ain't got to rush too
So
much for running backs.
so you have to
We don't have a QB yet, so we don't need to worry about that. Brandon Sheriff is probably going to walk, so that's going to free up some space.
yes.
Sheriff is going to walk, but so Terry is really the top priority as far as signing right now because we got Jonathan Allen out the way. So Terry McLaurin and Deron Payne are the conversation they're the conversation for this coming offseason as far as payment, and probably what to do with Landon Collins because they're probably going to release him.
Yeah, and that would add some money. So you may be able to keep.
I can might we might be able to retain all of them for at least one more season.
Yes,
It's a
yes.
possibility for sure. But we need a quarterback, man. And this quarterback class, I mean, you can find some diamond in the rough. It's been done. It's not like we
Yeah.
haven't seen it. But man, I don't know. I mean, I want a game changer. I want a game changer. I don't want just a guy. I can't. Not with
Okay.
Dak Prescott there. I can't. I can't have
Let
that.
me,
I need a game changing player.
okay. So this is why I stress scouting, drafting, and developing. Could you all draft a quarterback who I would say is as smart as Alex Smith, but then you just start building around that quarterback because you had the receiver McLaurin. Now Samuels and Humphreys contract is up after this season because it was just a 1 year deal. You have a decent tight end. You have a couple running backs, but could you add some more to the offense if you draft, let's say, a smart quarterback and just you know, like I said, smart like Alex Smith because
If
Alex
that
Smith
was
is
the
smart.
case, if that was the case, it'd probably be between Corral and Howell. And I'll probably say more so Corral because Corral got Lane Kiffin down there as his head coach. So Corral has a more of an understanding of a pro style offense than everybody else. So probably the Old Miss quarterback Corral. Yeah, for sure. The only thing that might benefit for us as far as trying to figure out quarterback play, and we're gonna move on from this after, is the fact that there aren't too many teams that's going to be looking for a quarterback in next year's draft.
That's true.
Um, I can think about the Steelers are probably going to try and draft someone. We'll see how the Dolphins feel about Tua at the end of the season, but they're pitching for Deshaun Watson, so if they can land that, they're not gonna be looking for one. So right now, I would say the Steelers are probably gonna look for one. Wouldn't be surprised if Detroit looks around.
Definitely.
Um, Golly, man, Atlanta. At some point, Atlanta, for God's sakes, find the successor. So
37 years old.
Atlanta will probably be looking. So what was that? Three teams that I
Yes.
named so far that's probably looking. We'll see how the Eagles feel with Jalen. Um,
Man, how can you like Jalen right now, man?
I like Jalen. I
I know,
feel
I
it's
know
more
you
so
do,
I feel it's more so the scheme. How do you have someone like Miles Sanders, who's a very good running back, and you're not giving him the touches? So you're putting all the pressure on these young receivers that Jalen got, and Jalen being a young quarterback with an offensive line that's not that great. That makes no sense to me. That is more so the coaching the scheme than Jalen for sure. I like Jalen. Jalen has shown me some stuff. He's got some stuff to work on, but he's shown me some stuff in the games too. I like Jalen Hurts. I don't think they need to look for another one, but I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to. The Broncos could
yes.
be looking. I'm trying to think of these teams in my head.
Carolina
Um,
could be, depending on what happens with Sam Darnold.
Carolina could be in there. Um, I would have said the Vikings, but they're still not out of the Albatross contract of Kirk Cousins.
But
Once they
but
get
you
out of
know
that,
now what Minnesota could do is draft a quarterback in, let's say, round 3 or 4, and maybe develop him.
I mean, that's what they did when they drafted Kellen Mond. Remember they
Oh,
drafted
that's right.
Kellen
That's
Mond.
right. That's right. They did do that. Yeah.
So we'll see. So we'll see what happens. But it's that contract. They got to get out of that first. Um,
Well, he's not in the fully guaranteed part of the contract anymore. Now
no,
they gave him a
no,
contract extension,
yeah,
but it still costs a lot of money because he's a veteran.
exactly. That man, when you talk about somebody that secured the bag, Kirk
Yes,
Cousins, man,
and he did not deserve it at all.
at all. Um, yeah, so there's a few teams that's going to be looking for QBs, and Washington is definitely going to be one of them for sure. So yeah, we're going to move on. Let me see. I think I wanted to go to this next game, and then we're going to close it up.
Okay.
Wanted to talk about. I don't think I want to talk about the Texans. The Texans and Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are just they're legit. We're going to see how the season keeps going with them. But right now, everything's working. AJ Green's found like the fountain of youth.
But you
DeAndre
know,
Hopkins,
yeah, but AJ Green doesn't have to be the main guy anymore at wide
and
receiver. He
that's
doesn't have
what's
to be
helping
the
him.
anchor.
That's what's
Yeah.
helping him.
Yes.
Because you got Christian Kirk, you got D Hop. So yeah, Zach
Yeah.
Ertz looked great in his debut with the Cardinals. He looked great. Good job, Philly. He looked fantastic. Let's talk about the 49ers and the Colts game. Let's do that.
Mm.
So 49ers and Colts. Colts win 30-18. Carson Wentz is looking like 2017. Carson 17 and 26, 152 tutties. Jimmy G 16 to 27, 181, one touchdown, two interceptions. Um,
How many passing yards for Carson Wentz?
150. They ran it more. Jonathan Taylor had a big
Oh,
game.
oh, that's right. That's right. Because the weather was bad in San
The weather
Francisco.
was it was raining. It was
That's right.
like
That's right. That's right.
a downpour. So what do you feel about the Colts? Colts are 3-4 right now. They look like they're starting. Their things are clicking. Like I said, Carson Wentz he's been playing good all year, man. What how do you feel? I like it. I like the team. Quentin Nelson's coming back. That's going to be big for their offensive line. Um, Michael Pittman Jr. is a stud. His daddy would be proud. Man, it's crazy that we used to watch his father play football and never watch his son.
That's another one.
That's crazy. Like I remember playing Madden with Michael Pittman. That's wild. Um, but yeah, Michael Pittman Jr. is a stud. I think Ty probably should retire. Ty Hilton.
Yes,
Um,
definitely. It's
and
time.
Jonathan Taylor is a stud. I can tell people about Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin. Jonathan Taylor's a stud. Um, what do you think with the 49ers with Jimmy G? Do you think that they should probably keep riding it out with Jimmy G, keep Trey Lance on the bench?
Well, hmm, I can go two ways with this because, and actually, you know what? They should get Trey Lance some playing time because it seems like they just out of the playoff race now. I mean, they're behind Arizona, they're behind the Rams. Um, Seattle's performing better than I thought they would so far without Russell Wilson. Not saying they win or lose or anything, but they're still performing better than I thought they would. So their chances of making the playoffs is slim to none. So you might as well put Trey Lance out there, let him just see what he can do, and then try to work on him this coming off season and move on from Jimmy G for a trade. And actually, you know what? There's a quarterback we did not mention for trade bait. We did not mention Jimmy Garoppolo. Teams like Washington or Philadelphia may want to look into it, even though he's.
I don't want Jimmy G.
I do. He's going to say that.
Mm.
Um, but teams will probably look at him, and there's going to be one team that's going to say, "Oh, we can fix him,"
Yeah, I agree with that.
because you got to remember too, Jimmy G was the starting quarterback in the Super Bowl when they lost, and he was what 3-1 in New England
Yep.
when he fielded for Brady those four games. So there's going to be one team that's going to say, "Hey, we can fix Jimmy G," and they're gonna pull the trigger on the trade for him.
Yep. That makes part. I can see that. I can see that. They can definitely get a decent value for him for sure.
Oh yeah, yes,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, definitely get decent value for him. So I would say maybe like like a third,
Yeah,
um, something like that.
I was thinking late second, early third. Yeah,
Late second.
um,
I
late,
don't know
late.
the injury history, man. The injury history with him.
You
I
might
don't
be
know
right,
about late second, but a third. I think they can get a third. They can get a second if somebody was desperate.
or if more than one team competes.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. So
Um,
yeah, I can see that.
I like the Indianapolis coaching staff. I've said that ever since those guys were hired. Frank Reich, the head coach, and I've always been a fan of Matt Eberflus since ever since he used to be our linebackers coach in Dallas. Um, Darius Leonard is just thriving
Yeah, yeah,
under him.
yeah. Loving it.
Matt Eberflus knows linebackers, so I'm not surprised with Darius Leonard. That defense, the offense, um, they'll compete for a 6 or 7 seed in that AFC.
For sure, for sure. Um, yeah, that's all. I agree with you as far as the Colts. That's all we'll cover with that. We'll see how all these teams moving forward. The AFC South has become interesting again
Yes,
between the Titans
definitely.
and the Colts. So we'll see what that looks like between those two down there in the South. I got two honorable mentions, and then we're gonna wrap up.
Okay.
Um, Detroit Lions. My quick take on Detroit Lions, and then if you got an opinion about them as well, you can feel free
Okay.
after. Detroit fans, all y'all that are going to be listening, watching the show, again, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're all over. Listen to us on all podcast platforms. So I just want to throw that out there. Detroit fans, I understand what to see how the season has looked. I understand with some of the heartbreaking losses, but Detroit, have faith. Have faith, Detroit fans. Have faith because I believe in Detroit. These guys are going to be good. I believe in Dan Campbell as their head coach. I believe in the culture that he's right now they're learning how to be a winning franchise. But the culture that he's setting there is is top to bottom great. These guys play hard.
Yes.
There's no quit.
No.
I mean, every game has kind of been down to the wire. Every
Especially
game.
Baltimore.
That's right. And but even looking at this last game, it's just
Right.
like I was like, whoa, like they could have pulled that out. Like
Yes.
they could have won that. So I'm just like, man, listen, if I'm a fan of them, I'm low key, I'm encouraged. I know
Oh,
it
yeah, I
looks
am too. Because okay, like I said, the season has been all that great record wise, but they're losing games close without much of anything as far as talent. If
right.
Detroit can um, draft well, I'm emphasizing this again because I'm big on this. If they scout, draft, and develop well, this team could be something to look at in the year 2023 or 2024.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, like this team looks like it could really make some noise, and so I'm excited to see what it is. I don't know if Jared Goff is the guy. I'm
No,
just
he's not.
I've never been sold on him. I've never
I,
been
I,
sold on Jared
you
Goff.
know what? The Super Bowl really exposed him when he lost to New England because New England said you want to beat us with your arm, and
He couldn't do it.
no, he just couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it. And so even when he got drafted, I just was like, are we sure? Do we know? Like that's how I felt. So I'm kind of sticking with that feeling. And so he might not be it, but other than that, man, nah, I think he's gonna do well. I think he's gonna pay dividends for us, for Detroit. And I'm rooting for Detroit, man. I like to see teams. I don't like to see teams be perpetually bad. You know,
Right.
it's
No,
just
no, I
it's
understand
just
because I mean we had two 0-16 teams, the Detroit Lions that one year under Ron Marinelli and the Cleveland Browns. I think that was under Hugh Jackson. Um, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. They might still get 1 or 2 wins though this year. They
I
could.
think so. I think so. I think they will. Like I said, they've really been battling, man. They've really been battling hard. So I think good things are on the way. For sure for them. I think good things are on the way. So that was my first honorable mention. My second one is the Cleveland Browns with Case Keenum. Case Keenum, okay, they were looking all right. They were looking pretty decent. So, how do we feel about Baker Mayfield retaining his starting position uh, for the Cleveland Browns? It's his contract year. They're debating if he's going to be the guy for the next, the foreseeable future. If they're going to give him the contract. What do you think, Brandon?
The question is Baker Mayfield a team that can? I mean, is Baker Mayfield the kind of quarterback that can bring your team back from being down by, let's say, 10 or 14 points, um, late third quarter, early fourth quarter? Because if not, then they just need to try to trade them and get what they can. But if they feel good about him, give him the contract extension. Case Keenum knows that offense. And the
He
reason why he
does.
knows the offense because Kevin and him were together in Minnesota when Kevin was the OC running a Shanahan Gary Kubak's similar system. So that's why Case Keenum can just come in and just thrive. He knows the offense already.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Joe Flacco got traded to the Jets because he knows that system up there. It's a Shanahan related offense. So it really, I don't think Baker Mayfield is that kind of comeback quarterback. I think they need to move on from him. But you don't trade him this year because there's no quarterback to draft this year. You need to see what the class look like next year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I think
And
part
they
of
need to
me
move on for Odell Beckham too.
part well, they need to trade Odell Beckham. You listen, Odell Beckham, let's be very clear. Odell Beckham can play football. Let's be very clear about this. That's
Oh,
why
I
I'm
know,
looking
I
at
know. A
I'm looking at
healthy,
my Odell Beckham
a
can play
healthy
football.
Odell Beckham, yes, can play football. But the
Okay.
problem is he can't stay healthy.
And the chemistry with him and Baker is just not there.
No.
So do what you can, trade him, get what you can get, and move forward. But
Yes.
man, I like Baker, man. I feel like he can do it. I just don't know what it is. But I feel like he can do it. I feel like he can be the guy. I don't know what it'll take, but I just feel like he can be the guy.
You know what? You know what Baker Mayfield having to go. He might have to go through a tough time in his career. He may have to go through a tough time in his career, and I don't know what that consists of, but he just may have to go through that, and he'll have to grow from it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Um, we're gonna see, man. I don't know. I just for something makes me hold on to Baker. I don't know what it is. Something with him. He's a tough. I mean, he's a tough son of a gun. Something with him makes me want him to be a Cleveland Brown quarterback. Like he just his attitude fits that city. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But definitely, I think. And his play was actually better without Odell. I don't know what it is with him and Odell.
Now that
It
is
just
true,
doesn't.
especially last year.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It just doesn't work. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't work. So, maybe if they let Odell go and he'll go back to the way he was later on in the season of last year. But that's all the time we got, man. This was great. And we actually covered a lot more than I thought we would have. Being without Steve. But this was a great show. Like I said,
Definitely,
we'll hope to get the entire band back together next week. Again, follow us. I'm gonna put all the stuff up here again. Follow us on Instagram, just a fan pod. Follow us on Instagram. We'll be posting more things on Instagram as we're like really, adding up these episodes and getting this content put out there. We'll definitely be posting a whole lot more. So follow us on Instagram. Also follow us on Just a Fan Podcast YouTube. So if you don't catch this episode on the live, you could definitely watch it on YouTube. It'll be up by the next day, so it'll be up by tomorrow. So
definitely,
definitely check us out on YouTube. And then if anyone that is watching on YouTube when this is up, you can follow us on Facebook at I'm Just a Fan Podcast right here on Facebook. Follow our page. Like I said, we'll update y'all with anything going on, any new episodes, whatever like that. We'll update y'all as we keep going. Also follow us on Twitter. That is JAF Podcast 3. Again, JAF Podcast 3 on Twitter. Chat with us, debate with us. It's all good. We'll be here. We'll respond to you. We'll talk to you. We'll chat it up. So don't hesitate to hit us up. And last but not least, follow us on the podcast streams. Just type in Just a Fan Podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever podcast that you use, Anchor, whatever you use, that's where we are. So this episode again will be up tomorrow on all your podcast streaming platforms. So feel free to just search Just a Fan Podcast. Again, Just a Fan Podcast. You will see our beautiful faces and hit the subscribe button and listen to us while you're on the go. Brandon, you got anything to say to the people before we sign out?
On the YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up button for the likes. That helps out the algorithm. Subscribe, please. And then next to the subscribe button, there's a notification bell. Type hit on that, and then click on all, so that way you'll be notified when the YouTube channels come up.
For sure, for sure. Y'all heard the man. Go subscribe, hit the thumbs up. Y'all know what to do. Hit the comments. This is Tristan. This is Brandon. Just a Fan
Episode 4.
Podcast. Episode 4. We're collecting. We're racking up. People, we're racking up. We will see you guys next week to talk about week 8. So until then, peace and blessings.
Peace.